Welcome to the Rink Report, which is being brought to you by Ohio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott, along with Jody Shelley. The Blue Jackets getting set to open a two-game series today with the Carolina Hurricanes. It'll be the first meeting of the year between these two clubs. Jody, the Blue Jackets coming into this game after a big win over the Dallas Stars a couple of days ago, but they did pay a price in that game with Zach Werenski being injured. He didn't finish that game. He's not going to play today. Dean Kukan is going to be moved from the third pair to the top pair with Seth Jones, and John Tortorella tells us why.
He's done a pretty good job. He's been probably one of our better defensemen, skating the puck out of our end zone and turning the net and just taking off. He's made some good offensive plays, not afraid to make an offensive play.
You know, Kukan is a guy we never talk about, and I think that's a compliment to him. He's quietly a very steady player, and a lot of times I think the appreciation his teammates have for him, his coaching staff, speaks volumes. He's a guy that you can barely get a sound quote out of, and to watch him play the game, he's an excellent skater. He's grown in this system, and it's impressive, even to me, that you come to camp and you don't know where Kukan's going to fit in. And here he is going to play with Seth Jones after 12 games in on an injury to Werenski. So great for Dean Kukan, a nice addition to this deep defensive blue line, but a guy that's really reliable and getting rewarded.
And when you talk about deep, if he should stumble whatsoever, Michael Del Zotto was just playing with Seth Jones a couple of games ago. So there is flexibility there if things aren't working the way that they want them to work early.
Yeah, you know, Andrew Peek's a guy who's dying to get in the lineup too. We haven't mentioned his name. He's a great skater. He's a young prospect. But right now with the pickup of Del Zotto, the veteran, I feel like he's got some movable parts that we're really going to see some interchangeable things here. You know, even Gavrikov and Savard, those are two players that have been together for a long time. Maybe you see some movement there. So options are good for a head coach who's trying to find his way.
And when it comes to the Blue Jackets overall, it really doesn't matter who's in the lineup, says their captain, Nick Foligno. It's all about the way they play.
You know, we have some skill, absolutely. You know, bringing in Patty Laine and some of the guys that we have, absolutely. But we're a straight line, hard forechecking team first, and then our skill comes off of that. And I think that's where all this talk, you know, about trying to get goals, and maybe it's clouded our understanding of who we are a little bit. And we have to get back to that. That's the recipe. That's the way we play. Our brand of hockey is straight, hard-nosed, in your face, down in the corners, and all of a sudden we're making plays out of that. And they look, you know, just as nice as any highlight reel play that we're going to see.
Again, that was proven last year when you had all those call-ups and all the injuries. It really seemed to ignite this team. So passion, emotion, I think that's what guys like Gerby brought to this lineup. We talked about that for most of the season last year. And that's what Foligno's talking about here. This is a group that's deep. They're not playing the right way, and they've all been warned that this is their last game. If they don't pick it up, there's going to be pieces that are moved out for whatever reason. But effort is non-negotiable, and there's other things too. So the captain is on it, but he understands the identity of being a hard team to play against is a must for this organization.
Hey, case in point of guys being out of the lineup, Mikhail Grigorenko is not going to play today. He'll be a healthy scratch. Liam Foudy was reactivated off the taxi squad with the Werenski injury, and Liam is going to go back into the lineup. You know, you can look at that, and you can look at the point production, or you can look at the quality of what's gone on in the game here. If you're just looking at the points, a Grigorenko scratch might surprise you, but Liam Foudy, he's coming along, and they want to see if they can get him to progress a little bit here.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Torch wanted to scratch Grigorenko, and that may sound odd, but he's trying to stick with patience with some of these veteran players he's got. But it's no more after today's game. So Grigorenko sits. Foudy's got to get in the lineup because he's got speed. And there's a dynamic to this team on the forecheck. You're seeing it from Robinson, where he can disrupt, and that's really what they need to do against the Hurricanes. So, you know, Foudy with the speed and the young innocence in his game might be something here that's added that Grigorenko doesn't have.
All right, you mentioned it right there. Carolina, when you think about them, you think about speed. That's what they do. They do it extremely well. And for the Blue Jackets, you know, they have been challenged, especially in the middle of the ice with their center position, not so much as far as producing points. That's a challenge in and of itself. But the defensive play of the centers has been something that has been up and down. And when you're playing against a team like Carolina, you've got to be solid defensively in the middle, don't you?
You got to be tight. They like to open it up a little bit. And it's a team that likes to play with that speed and transition. They'll attack twice. They're coming into this game with a loss, but before that, they had won 5 in a row. And this is a team that's dangerous. Mrazek's out. They're relying on the veteran Reimer. So it's a different tandem in net for the Carolina Hurricanes. But right now, the Blue Jackets have got to worry about their game. We hear that all the time. You know, you talk to John Tortorella all the time. He says that to you almost on a regular basis, that he only worries about his team. And that's for good reason. And right now, he seems to be very concerned about that area, the defensive zone and the cohesion of the team. I've heard it from other teams too. Cohesion is a problem this year, but a lot of new pieces, especially in the middle of the ice, they have to figure it out. And if they don't do it quick this afternoon, it's going to be a long day for the Blue Jackets. So look for them to respond here and play more team defense.
You mentioned the Hurricanes. They have been hot. They're 6-2 in the 8 games that they played. They had a couple of guys that were in the COVID protocols that are now back in the lineup. They are as strong lineup-wise as they have been. But you mentioned Peter Mrazek. He's out, and he's going to be out for some time. So James Reimer, they're leaning on him as a starter. In the past, Reimer has been a good number 2 guy, but when the workload has been on his shoulders, that's when he has struggled. Although with the Carolina Hurricanes, I think you'd agree with me when I say for the past 2 or 3 years, you look at them and you say, how are they winning games with those goaltenders? But they continue to win games.
You look at the Islanders the same way, 2 career backups that they did some good work with here the past few years. Same thing with Carolina. They've got great defensemen and they've got good centermen. And their coach, Rod Brindamore, is the identity of their team. He kind of drives it for them. He's a guy with no quit. He's the first guy in the weight room still, probably the last guy out. He skates with the extras. It's a lot to keep up with when you have a head coach like that who works that hard. So he drives the work ethic. So he's a guy that has his team playing. We've said it every year the last few years. For some reason, we're surprised, or a lot of people are, with the Carolina Hurricanes and how they do it with not the greatest goaltending. They play a great team game, and this might be just what the Blue Jackets need to get their team game going, to play against Carolina, who just play that way all day long.
All right, the first game of this back-to-back series, these 2 games will be one this afternoon, one tomorrow night. The one this afternoon gets underway at 3 o'clock at Nationwide Arena. Pregame coverage starts at 2:30 on both Fox Sports Ohio and the Blue Jackets Radio Network. That'll do it for today's Rink Report. It's been brought to you by Ohio Credit Union. For Jody Shelley, I'm Bob McElligott. Enjoy the game.